Okay, everyone, gather around because I have the most insane story to tell you about what happened with my coworker recently. Her name is Sarah, and we've been working together in the same department for over a year. She's always been super nice, chatty, and we joke around during breaks. But I never saw her as anything more than a colleague. One day, out of the blue, she comes up to my desk and says, "Hey, I make amazing homemade lasagna. Why don't you come over for dinner this Friday? It'll be chill, just good food and conversation." I thought, sure, why not? Free food, no cooking for me, and it's just a friendly thing between coworkers. I said yes without overthinking it. Friday rolls around, I grab a bottle of wine as a polite gesture and head to her apartment. She opens the door looking all dressed up, hugs me a little too long, and the place smells incredible. We're sitting there talking about work drama, sipping wine, everything feels normal. Then about 40 minutes in, the doorbell rings. Sarah gets this sneaky smile and says, "Oh, perfect timing." I'm confused, but she opens the door and in walk her parents, carrying a cake and beaming. Before I can even process, Sarah grabs my arm and announces, "Mom, Dad, this is Alex, my boyfriend." I swear my jaw hit the floor. Boyfriend? We've never even gone on a date. Her parents rush over, hugging me, saying how excited they are to finally meet me. I'm standing there frozen, trying to smile while my brain is screaming. I didn't want to embarrass everyone, so I just went along with it. We all sit down to eat, and the whole dinner becomes this interrogation about our relationship. Sarah is spinning stories left and right about how we started dating secretly at work. I nod and mumble vague answers, feeling completely trapped. The night finally ends. Parents leave happy, and the second the door closes, I turn to her and say, "What was that?" She laughs and says her parents keep pressuring her about being single, so she thought it'd be funny to pretend. Funny? I felt used. I left right after, and now things are super awkward at work. Let me give you more background on how this even started. Sarah and I sit pretty close in the office, so we talk a lot. She's the type who always brings homemade treats and shares them. Over time, she started complimenting me more, like, "You look really good today," or asking about my weekend plans. I just took it as her being friendly. Then came the dinner invite. She made it sound so casual, emphasizing how she hates eating alone and just wanted company. I didn't suspect anything romantic because she never directly flirted hard. When I arrived at her place, though, the vibe is different. Candles on the table, soft music playing, her wearing a nice dress. I brushed it off as her just liking to host nicely. We were having a great conversation about movies when her parents showed up. The moment she said my boyfriend, her mom's eyes lit up like Christmas lights. Dad shook my hand firmly, saying, "We've heard so much about you." Heard what? Lies, apparently. Throughout dinner, they kept asking how long we've been together, where our first date was, even joking about grandkids someday. Sarah answered everything smoothly, making it all up on the spot. I barely ate because my stomach was in knots. Every time I tried to glance at her like, "Help," she just squeezed my hand under the table. When her parents finally left, gushing about how perfect we are together, I confronted her immediately. She admitted she panicked when her parents said they were coming over unannounced and decided to use me as a fake boyfriend to get them off her back. She thought it'd be funny to play along. Funny? It was mortifying. I told her that was not okay and left. The next week at work has been painfully awkward. She keeps trying to apologize, but I'm keeping my distance. To really understand how crazy this was, let's talk about the buildup. For weeks, Sarah had been finding excuses to talk to me more. She'd linger at my desk after meetings or text me about random work stuff late at night. I didn't think much of it until the invite. She sold it perfectly as platonic. When I got to her apartment, everything looked like a date setup, but I convinced myself I was reading too much into it. Then the parents arrived, and boom, boyfriend introduction. Her dad immediately started calling me son and sharing dad jokes. Mom kept saying how Sarah has been glowing lately because of me. I had to pretend to laugh while dying inside. The food was actually delicious, but I couldn't enjoy it. Sarah kept adding details to the fake story, like how I surprised her with flowers once. I just nodded, praying it would end soon. After dessert, her parents hugged me goodbye and said they can't wait to have me over for family holidays. As soon as they were gone, Sarah burst out laughing, thinking it went great. I didn't laugh. I asked why she didn't warn me or ask if I'd be okay pretending. She said she didn't think I'd mind, and that her parents are old-fashioned and always nagging her about settling down. I told her using someone like that without consent is wrong. She looked genuinely sorry, but the damage was done. I went home feeling tricked and confused. Now at the office, I avoid one-on-one conversations with her, and it's made team projects weird. The aftermath has been rough. Monday morning, I walk in dreading seeing her. She waves like nothing happened, but I just nod politely. Later, she corners me in the break room and apologizes again, saying she'll tell her parents the truth. Apparently, they loved me so much they're already planning the next visit. Great! A couple days later, I get a friend request from her mom on social media. How did she even find me? I ignored it. Sarah keeps sending texts saying how bad she feels and that it was a stupid impulse. I believe she's sorry, but trust is broken. Looking back, there were signs I missed. The way she always sat next to me at lunch, the personal questions about my dating life. The dinner itself was elaborate. 3 courses, fancy wine. If it wasn't for the lie, it could have been nice. Her parents were sweet people, just excited for their daughter. But being dragged into the deception ruined it. I've talked to a close friend about it, and he says I should report it to HR if it affects work, but I don't want to escalate it that far yet. For now, I'm just focusing on keeping everything strictly professional. One thing that keeps replaying in my head is how smoothly Sarah lied the whole night. She had answers ready for every question her parents asked. Where we met? At work, obviously. First kiss during a late-night project. Future plans. Traveling together. It was impressive in a scary way. Meanwhile, I was sweating, trying not to contradict her. At one point, her dad asked what I liked most about Sarah, and I mumbled something generic about her being kind. Inside, I was panicking. When her parents left, they kept saying, "Take care of our girl." I felt so guilty even though I did nothing wrong. Sarah's explanation was that her family is very traditional, and at 29, she's getting constant pressure to bring someone home. She thought a fake boyfriend for one night would buy her peace, but she didn't consider how I'd feel being the prop. I told her straight up that it crossed a major boundary. She cried a little and promised never again. Since then, she's been giving me space at work, which I appreciate. This whole thing has made me way more cautious about accepting invitations from coworkers. One thing that keeps replaying in my head is how smoothly Sarah lied the whole night. She had answers ready for every question her parents asked. Where we met? At work, obviously. First kiss during a late-night project. Future plans. Traveling together. It was impressive in a scary way. Meanwhile, I was sweating, trying not to contradict her. At one point, her dad asked what I liked most about Sarah, and I mumbled something generic about her being kind. Inside, I was panicking. When her parents left, they kept saying, "Take care of our girl." I felt so guilty even though I did nothing wrong. Sarah's explanation was that her family is very traditional, and at 29, she's getting constant pressure to bring someone home. She thought a fake boyfriend for one night would buy her peace, but she didn't consider how I'd feel being the prop. I told her straight up that it crossed a major boundary. She cried a little and promised never again. Since then, she's been giving me space at work, which I appreciate. This whole thing has made me way more cautious about accepting invitations from coworkers. If you're wondering whether I saw it coming, no, not at all. Sarah never outright asked me on a date or confessed feelings. Everything was subtle. That's why the invite felt safe. When I showed up and saw the romantic setup, I started questioning, but it was too late. The parent ambush was the real shock. The look on their faces when she introduced me as boyfriend was pure joy. They treated me like family instantly. It was almost sweet if it weren't completely fake. Dinner conversation covered everything, from my job to my hobbies to how serious we are. I survived by redirecting to neutral topics. After they left, Sarah tried to play it cool, offering more wine like nothing weird happened. When I confronted her, she finally admitted the full plan, or lack thereof. It was spontaneous panic, still not an excuse. I've been replaying what I could have said differently, like correcting her in front of them, but that would have caused a huge scene. Playing along felt like the least dramatic option at the time. Now I'm glad I kept my composure. Work has definitely changed. We used to collaborate easily, bouncing ideas off each other. Now there's tension. During meetings, she avoids eye contact with me. Colleagues haven't noticed yet, thankfully. Sarah sent a long apology email explaining her side more. Growing up with strict parents, always compared to married cousins, feeling like a failure. I get that pressure can be intense, but it doesn't justify tricking someone. I replied briefly, saying I accept the apology but need time. She's respecting that. Interestingly, her parents still think we're together because she hasn't corrected them yet. She's scared to disappoint them again. That's her mess to clean up, not mine. This experience has taught me to always clarify intentions before going to someone's home. The funniest part, well, now it's funny, is how convincing we looked as a couple to her parents. They bought it completely. Mom even whispered to me that Sarah seems happier than ever. If only she knew. The food was genuinely amazing. I took leftovers home out of politeness. Sarah is a great cook, I'll give her that. But the emotional cost was too high. I've decided not to tell many people at work to avoid gossip. Only my best friend knows the full story, and he can't stop laughing about it. He calls it my fake relationship era. Maybe one day I'll laugh too, but not yet. Reflecting on boundaries, I realize I should have asked more questions when she invited me, like just us or anyone else coming. Simple clarification could have prevented this. Live and learn. Sarah seems genuinely remorseful now. She even offered to talk to HR if I feel uncomfortable working together. But I don't want that. We're adults, we can keep it professional. Time will heal the awkwardness, I hope. Another detail, during dinner, her dad gave me relationship advice, saying communication is key. The irony was thick. I nodded seriously while thinking, if only your daughter followed that. Mom showed baby photos of Sarah on her phone. It was also wholesome, yet built on a lie. When I left that night, I felt a mix of anger and pity. Anger for being used, pity for whatever pressure she's under. Fast forward to now, things are slowly normalizing. We had a group project meeting and it was civil, no weirdness in front of others. Sarah has stopped the personal text completely. I think she's learned her lesson. Maybe this crazy night will become just an embarrassing story we laugh about years from now. One positive takeaway, her lasagna recipe was fire. She texted it to me as part of her apology. I made it myself last weekend and it turned out great. Small silver lining. Her parents were lovely people too. If circumstances were different, I might have enjoyed meeting them, honestly. I've become more direct with people since then. If someone invites me somewhere now, I ask straight up about the vibe and who's attending. No assumptions. This whole situation was a wake-up call about mixed signals and hidden agendas, even from people you think you know. Sarah has started dating apps again, apparently, to find a real boyfriend and appease her parents properly. Good for her. I'm just glad to be out of the fake one. Work is back to focusing on actual work, which feels refreshing. Sometimes I wonder if she had a tiny crush and this was her weird way of testing the waters. She denies it, says it was purely about her parents. Either way, not the right approach. Consent matters even in pretend relationships. The bottle of wine I brought is still unopened at my place. Every time I see it, I remember that night. Might save it for a celebration when this awkward phase fully passes. Colleagues have started pairing us less in jokes now. Maybe they sense the shift. Or maybe Sarah asked them to stop. Whatever the case, the office feels calmer. I've forgiven her in my head, but I'm still guarded. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting or going back to how things were. Professional distance is healthy. This story could make a great comedy sketch someday. Fake boyfriend ambush. Classic sitcom material. Life is stranger than fiction sometimes. And that's the full tea on how my coworker turned a simple dinner into the most awkward night of my life. Moral of the story, always get the full guest list before saying yes. Thanks for listening and drop your own crazy coworker stories below.